Hello, welcome to Chemionix. Let's start session 1. In this session we will see how to create the project and how to set project setup. After starting the program, now we are ready to create a new project for the piping modeling. In the project manager right here, right click on the default project and close the project. Then let's go here and click on the drop down list. Then click new project. Here we can see project setup wizard. In the first place, enter a name of the project. For enter an optional description, leave it as empty. Then specify the directory where program generated files are stored. Leave it as a default or choose as per your custom location. Copy setting from the existing project. If you want to copy previous project, or if you want to copy existing project XML file, then click here and select that XML file. We are just skipping off right now because we are creating a new project. Then click next. Then here we can get specify unit setting. The unit setting is a very important part of the project setup, and that you can set only one time in the beginning of the project. Here we can get two types of unit, imperial and the metric. I will set project in the metric and select the inches mixed metric. Mixed metric by called the diameter of the piping is in inch and length in a millimeter. Then click next. So here we can see specify PNID setting. First, specify the directory where PNID drawing are stored. So leave it as a default. Then select the PNID symbol standards to be used. So I will select PIP PNID symbol standard. Then click next. Then here we can see specified plant directory setting. So about this wizard, leave it as a default and click next. Then we can see specified database setting here. Here I will keep SQLite database and click next. Just click on finish here to finish the database. And now we can see right here our project shown in the project manager. The project name is the training and it had 4 nodes. First is the PNID drawing, second one plant 3D drawing, third one piping specs, and fourth one related files. Now we will learn about how to create a new drawing in the project. Before creating the file, let me tell you some basic but important information about the plant 3D file. When you open any model file, it's imperative that you open the file within the project manager window and not using Windows Explorer. The reason for this is that plant 3D model don't just contain graphics, but they also contain database information. When you open a file, two things happen. The graphics are brought up in the AutoCAD workspace and the drawing database is linked with the overall project database. So let's take a look in our project manager under the training project setup. So now we are creating the file in the plant 3D drawing node. So right click on the plant 3D drawing and click on the new drawing. Here we can see new drawing window is open. So we are giving the name for the file. Also here showing some basic information in this window like drawing properties, project properties and the drawing template. So this information just leave it as a default, then click OK. Now we can see our drawing file under the plant tree drawing node. Now we will see how to set the project setup in the Plant 3D 2018. I am going to the Home tab, and in the project panel we can see the project manager option. If I click there, I can see project manager, open project, new project and the project setup options. So click on the project setup option. Like this we can open the project setup. Also we can open the project setup option from the project manager. If I right click on the project name, I will select the option of project setup, and now we can see here project setup window. You will notice there are several categories for the setting, starting from the general setting, and below that you will find the different categories. For example, PNID, DWG setting, plant 3D DWG setting, isometric DWG setting and ortho DWG setting. Okay, let's go through the individual section of the project setup, starting here with the general setting. So we will start from the database setup. So click on the database setup. This is going to show you if you have local SQLite database or if you have a SQL server configured for the project. So you really can't change the setting information. If you have SQL server, then you can see your SQL server name here. The database prefix being used the databases on the SQL server here, and the type of the authentication that turn on here. Then go to the drawing properties. This is where you can set any kind of custom property you do like to have on the drawing themselves. The actual project drawing going through the applies to the PNID drawing, plant 3D drawing and ortho drawing. You can set there, and basically what you can do after the left hand page, you will see the custom categories. So you can add category. So I'm giving name, test. Okay. Also you can add row in here. Test. Project. XYZ. And you can, like this, you can customize your own property and fill it here. Then you can apply those settings down here. Just click on here, so it will be apply. Then continue to make further adjustment in the project setup. The next section is file name format. So click on the file name format. This is allow you to define property values, but we are not adding here anything, so leave it as a default. The next section is the project path. In this section we can see template location and the drawing directories for the types of drawing in the project. For example, PNID, Plant 3D, Ortho, Specs and Symbol styles. But we already set the project in the beginning, so we are not changing anything here. So leave it as default. So now we are moving to the project detail. This is going to be general information about your project. For example, the name of description and the number of project. There are also some additional information here. For example, asking for the work history when drawings are open or closed. And that will be prompt the designer to put in some information when they close or open drawings. You can define the location here. You can define the location of the project reports and the related files folder for the project itself. The custom properties section is going to allow you to add additional information about your project, like this. Project estimation. Okay, then you can add row here, project hours, and the value. So just keep here 1200 hours. So it's look like this. Below that, one more option available, tool palettes group association. You can set the tool palettes that are going to be used whenever you open the project. Now this is the older setting here for the AutoCAD PNID standalone, and this is for the Plant 3D. Then we will move on the report tab. The report section allow you to modify and adjust standard report that comes with the AutoCAD Plant 3D. That we are not changing anything here, so leave it as it is. Next section is the share plant contents. This is really not used anymore as far as changing it from this location. Like this, we have completed our general setting node. Just apply setting. So next node is the PNID drawing setting. We already covered PNID drawing setting in the PNID training video, so we didn't repeat again. So now we are moving on the Plant 3D DWG setting directly. So let's double click on the Plant 3D setting and expand it. Here is the first option, export and import setting. Click on that. Plant 3D drawing setting. These control all the options for the 3D model drawings similar to the PNID. You can have the option to set up a custom import and export setting for the data manager. Then data manager configuration. We are not adding anything here, so leave it. Third option is the layer and color setting. The layer color setting is defining how the objects will be placed onto the certain layer as routed and the place into the drawing. So for example, you could assign the layer by line number tag and assign color those objects by the nominal diameter. So you can start with the default scheme and set up your own custom scheme for this. But we have standard layer CAD file and layer already inserted in the project CAD file. So just remove this check mark from here and use our standard layer setting. Then click apply. Now we are moving on the piping connection setting. The piping connection setting control shows how pipe connections are made between the different pipe runs and the pipe fitting. This is basically controlling butt weld joints, wafer joints like that, and also the part that are coming in those connections if necessary down here the component joints. So we are not changing here anything, so leave it as it is and apply. Now we are moving on the pipe bend setting. Pipe bend setting are controlling whether you treat those bends are as a fitting or as a pipe. For example, as pull up pipe, and then you can adjust your default bend setting down here and the radius and the link on the both sides. Then we are moving on the PNID object mapping. In here the PNID properties mapping to the 3D properties, but we are not mapping anything, so keep as it is and move the next section. So we are moving on the plant 3D class definition. So double click and expand this node. Then click on the P3D line group. Here you can set up your overall line number tag format. The properties are going into the line group, and the individual objects such as a pipe run component, you can click in here and add extra properties here if necessary. Again come to the P3 line group. We already shown how to set the line number in the PNID training video, so we are not showing again because same process is follow for the plant 3D line numbering. Click apply. Now we are moving on the specs update setting. Specs update setting is going to control when you are running a specs update, what is updated and what is not, so you can enable or disable that option over here. Like this, we have completed our plant 3D DWG setting. Just apply. Now we are moving on the isometric drawing setting. So double click and expand the isometric DWG setting node. So many sections are available in the isometric DWG settings. So start from the symbols and the references. The symbols are used the 2D representation of the 3D object in here. You can also edit ISO symbol, and you can adjust your reference dimensions as far as the enclosure and the annotation for those. Then apply, and now we are moving on the ISO style setup. ISO style setup allow you to create a new ISO style here, or you can edit existing style that come with your new project. This is where you can control the option for drawing format, file numbering and the spool naming. Do not change the spool method and the content path, leave it as it is. Then apply. Now we are moving on the ISO style default setting. This setting options to be default, as you can run the anisometric. You don't have to set those every time. You can also control over here some of the output default if you are creating the bills of material when you are generating the isometrics, the data formats, and also some of the dimensioning if you want to turn on and off. And the default for the congestion splitting are in here. We are keeping here final A2 as our standard, and just remove this check mark from the create split points automatically option for the taking big isometric lines in a one page. Then apply, and now we are going to annotation section. So annotation turns on and off and controls the symbology for the leaders and the enclosures for the data, and also adjust the connections and the continuation annotation of here to the side. Next session is the dimensions. On the dimension, this is controlling how dimensions are placed within the drawing. Offset dimension, offset distance, where these sort of anchor points are for this. For example, on the certain types of welds, you can adjust those here along with the text height. And down here at the bottom, you can adjust what is the considered small bore piping, where that starts. Then apply. Now we have completed our dimension setting, and now we are moving on the theme. The themes is going to be sort of down into each style. They have a theme below that. For example, fitting to fitting, small bore piping, vent drain piping, things like that. These are controlled based on the part that are filtered into a theme, and then you can turn the dimension are on and off here. Also you can adjust the place. Like this. Then apply. Now we have completed theme setting, and now we are moving on the slope and offset piping. The slope and the offset piping controls the screw boxes and how these are showing in the drawing, the hatching and the slope piping annotations, and everything related to the slope and screw pipe. So we will keep here our setting. So click on the screw triangle and the alternative dimensioning. Then for the slope pipe with the 2D horizontal offset, click on the 2 screw triangles. Then show rolled offset 3D sketches. That time just click on the 2 screw triangles and apply our setting. And now we are moving on the title block and the display. In the title block and display section, you can set your title block and the drawing border. Also, if you want to change or if you want to add anything regarding bills of materials, pull list, tables, drawing area, north area and any other things, then go to the setup title block. Here we can see default title block. So we are just added here spool list in our template, and it is showing here. Like this, you can change the draw area, you can change the position of bills of material and etc. Once it's done, just close this project setup, return to the project setup, save the changes to ISO DWT. Also you can change here elbow and bend display setting, which is currently showing square, but that you can change according to your project requirement. We always keep display as a round for the elbow and bend. All other things we leave it as default. Then click on the apply, and now we are moving on the live preview. In the live preview, you can view the setting and adjustment that you have made in the isometric project node. It will take time to generate isometric preview. And now we can see here our isometric file template is ready to use. Then apply. Now we have completed our isometric drawing setting, and now we are moving on the ortho DWG setting, which is the last node in the project setup. In the title block and display, you can set the title block and border here. And if you want to add bills of material and other things, then follow the same procedure which we use in the isometric title block and display. Below that, template file location showing here, so just leave it as default. Then if you want to see hidden pipelines by default, then click here and active this option. Also, you can adjust the representation of the elbow center line, whether those are curved or cornered. We always keep cornered. Then apply and OK. Now we have completed our project setup. Thanks for the watching video.